The Welsh coast basks in summer tranquility. Then the drownings begin. Not until the monstrous crustaceans crawl ashore, their pincers poised for destruction, does the world understand the threat it faces. In 1974, James Herbert would publish his debut novel, The Rats. This story of rats the size of dogs terrorising the derelict slums and forgotten bomb sites of 1970s London would turn out to be a surprise success. The book's gory set pieces and unprecedented brutality sparking a not-so-quiet revolution in the UK publishing industry, with enthusiastic agents falling over themselves to discover horror fiction's next great provocateur. Along with 1974's Jaws by Peter Benchley, the success of The Rats would give rise to an entire subgenre of animal attack stories, socio-ecological tales in which nature, retaliating against humanity's increasing destruction of the environment, exacts its bloody revenge. While there are arguably more credible entries in this once booming subgenre, I think it's perhaps safe to say that the book in question, Night of the Crabs by Guy N. Smith, is one of the most sought after and widely known. Its iconic cover, a genuine landmark of this era of paperbacks from hell, being almost as famous as the book itself. While some readers tend to dismiss the book as a kind of so bad it's good exercise in tasteless pulp, denigrating Smith as little more than a real-life equivalent of the parody horror writer Garth Marenghi, I think the book is somewhat more self-aware, and as such genuinely better than its reputation might suggest. Night of the Crabs for me reads like the very best B-movie horror film in waiting. A perfectly crafted work of pulp schlock that knows exactly what it is, and leans into it with unforgettable effect. Within a handful of pages I went from laughing at the book to laughing with it, to eventually being entirely engrossed and transfixed by its scenes of quiet terror and eventual full-scale carnage. In contrast to the broad scope, widescreen spectacle, and overlapping storylines of Benchley's Jaws, Smith's book is comparatively more intimate. It has the feel of something almost quaint, small-scale, low-budget. Again, the experience of the book conjures in the imagination that perfect B-movie horror. A run-down end-of-the-pier take on something like the classic Godzilla, if it was markedly more British, and produced by a studio like Amicus Productions. In its settings, characters and iconography, the book also recalls the influences of writers like Dennis Wheatley and Nigel Kneale, and with it that similar collision between the scientific and spiritual estrangement of our own modern-day horrors and the ghosts of an all-too-recent past. From the small-town seaside setting to the practical, pragmatic, stiff-upper-lipped attitudes of its characters, who seem to call upon that old-fashioned spirit of the Blitz, the tone of the book brings to mind a definite bygone age of horror storytelling. Both The Rats and Night of the Crabs are written by authors who seem to be grappling with their own experiences of having grown up in the aftermath of World War II, the destruction and devastation caused by these rampaging creatures, as well as the banding together of characters, many old enough to have lived and served during the war itself, feels decidedly significant and specific. As if Herbert and Smith are each attempting to process their own childhood memories and experiences of towns and cities ravaged by war, or upended by the appearance of terrifying military vehicles and artillery through a lens of ecological horror. Likewise, the assortment of characters speak to a certain old-fashioned quaintness. Pipe-smoking scientists, yapping colonels, kind of simple-minded locals, as well as a down-to-earth love interest, who skirts a fine line between progressive heroine with genuine agency and distressed damsel who exists to give the heroic male lead a sense of purpose and potency. These characters and this conflict of attitudes again bridges the dividing line between that wartime spirit of the 1940s and the modern-day attitudes of the 1970s. The conflict, as ever in these stories, being one between modernity and tradition. That idea that science and our own pursuit of knowledge and technological advancement has somehow brought about a karmic reckoning with the natural world. The book obviously isn't without flaws. This is not high-minded literature. It's a story about giant crabs terrorising a Welsh village, and the efforts of a no-nonsense scientist to stop the carnage before these bloodthirsty crustaceans move further inland. It's silly, violent, and decidedly oversexed. However, viewed through the proper lens, Night of the Crabs is a great read. Its quiet dread and slow-burning terror, often culminating in scenes of grisly carnage, providing a tremendous amount of fun for the reader. While Herbert's book certainly has more depth, its socio-political subtext and commentary on class inequality genuinely elevating its admittedly thin storyline, I still enjoy the simple, unpretentious pleasures of Smith's book on a much more personal level. Night of the Crabs is better paced, unburdened by Herbert's uninteresting attempts at character development, and it has a more capable protagonist. Crabs would go on to be a recurring theme for Smith, with the author returning to the series throughout his long and prolific career. In each subsequent book, the formula would be tweaked. The characters and settings changed or swapped out, but the terror always remained the same. Throughout the series, Smith would grapple with this returning nightmare from beyond the sea, each new instalment pitting humanity against vengeful nature, and reminding us that the secrets of the deep are best left undisturbed.